Good morning. This is Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Brian Edwards. We are doing Power Rankings Monday morning, and we will count them down from the bottom up as we always do. Welcome in. Good morning. We always welcome your super chats, your questions, all those things. Before Brian and I get started, reminder, we are brought to you by our friends at GameTime SIDEKICKS. I've got my handy water tumbler here. It's a 40-ouncer. It stays with me all day. GameTime SIDEKICKS makes officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, all SEC schools, over 350 other universities, stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. We are also brought to you by the HOF app. Smart bettors rely on data. HOF hands you powerful analytics at your fingertips to tilt the odds in your favor. Improve your chances of winning using historical data, matchup grades, trends, and player performance insights. HOF was created by Ivy League sports geeks to let everyday fans bet smarter. For a limited time only, listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% of their first month when they use code SE16 at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS or Android, enter code SE16, and you are all set. Well, Brian Edwards, good morning. Welcome to you. As we get set for power rankings, starting at the bottom, give me some interesting odds on FanDuel for SEC champions, playoff berths, whatever's catching your eye this morning.
Okay, the updated odds to win the SEC championship game: Bama plus 155, A&M plus 480, Georgia plus 500 or 5-1, Ole Miss 7-1, Texas plus 750, Oklahoma 19-1, LSU 20-1, Mizzou 27, Vols 35, Vandy 50, Florida 80, and then the rest of the field, which includes Auburn, Miss State, South Kakalaki, and Arkansas 300-1 for each of them.
Interesting. All right, let's start from the bottom with power rankings. The team that has been at 16 for a while, I think they might have flipped with 15 a couple times, but I think they were 16 last time out. That is your Kentucky Wildcats, the only team in the SEC to have 2 bye weeks so far. But yeah, Kentucky just having troubles moving the ball. That's been a recurring theme in Lexington, and the Cats have got their work cut out the remainder of the year.
Yep, 0-3 in SEC play, outscored 100 to 50, 2-3 overall, and it does not get any easier. And the KSR guy, Matt Jones.
Matt
right?
Jones, yeah,
he reported. I don't know if it was over the weekend or maybe it was the end of last week, that there's a chance that they're gonna actually pay this buyout for Stoops. The ideal scenario would be for him to go take another job, but I don't know if he's going to leave all that money on the table. And so maybe they'll make a move on him. It's $38 million and all due within 30 days. So we shall see. They are coming off an open date, host Texas on Saturday.
By the way, did you see the report coming out of Penn State? I think most people in the chat probably know James Franklin got fired at Penn State. The rumor is that Adidas, I don't know if initiated is the right word, but certainly encouraged them to move on and apparently footed a good bit of the bill for that.
Oh, wow. I mean, I saw that. I saw like the headline. I was watching NFL, so I didn't go read it, but I did see that headline. That's interesting. Shoe companies are paying buyouts now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the world we live in. Hey, odds, yes or no, James Franklin ends up in the SEC next year?
I think there's probably a pretty good chance. I mean, we're looking at Auburn, possibly Kentucky, definitely Arkansas, definitely Florida. There's 4 jobs right there, and you never know. Another one could pop up. Who knows?
Yeah, James Franklin or Arkansas would be kind of interesting. Florida would be really interesting too, given the way he could recruit. Yeah, that's kind of where we are with Kentucky. We're talking about where James Franklin will land in the SEC.
Yep.
All right, number 15, Arkansas. Hey, this sort of typifies the SEC, okay? Arkansas has been at 15 or 14 for a few weeks now, but went to Knoxville, scared the pants off Tennessee. Arkansas is second in the SEC in yards per play, just a fraction behind another team. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll say that stat. And the worst team in per play defense, 6.3 yards per play against Arkansas. They could just fix the defense a little bit, Brian. They're going to a bowl and then some.
Yeah, and I think they're going to keep playing hard for Petrino. I think they played hard the other night. I mean, they should have won the game. They fumbled 3 times. You can't be. I think they were -3 in turnover margin. I'm not positive if Tennessee turned it over or not, but you're not going to win games on the road in the SEC if you're -3 in turnover margin. I'm checking that, by the way. But hey, this offense is as good as any offense in the SEC, and it's one of the top offenses in the country. And Mike Washington, for gambling purposes, keep betting his over on rushing yards. I'm pretty sure it's every game, and it went over before halftime the other day.
By the way, our friend Sam is calling me out for fake news. Adidas has apparently said that report was false.
Oh,
so we'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, Penn State, either way, somebody wrote a big check or two to get rid of James Franklin and pay him $50 million or give or take a few not to coach.
I've fact-checked myself, and I was correct. It was -3 in turnover margin for Arkansas. But they're continuing to play hard, and they're going to clip a couple teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I could see them beating Auburn and Mississippi State at home, but don't be surprised if they get somebody else.
Yeah, Auburn just can't move the ball. We'll get to them in just a minute, or can for a half, and then stuff goes wrong. 14 South Carolina. I feel like South Carolina has been 14 for a month now. I don't know that we learned anything about Carolina that we didn't know already. Their offensive line is abysmal, got sacked 5 times. Defense continues to play fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
But, it feels like, this is about the time where Shane Beamer's teams start to get it together, and they've got this coming week. Let's see.
They've got Oklahoma and Alabama back-to-back. They can rectify their season in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, Alabama feels like a lot to bite off. Oklahoma, we get to the Sooners in a minute. That was not pretty over the weekend.
No. Right now, I think just get bowl eligible. And, starts with this week. Oklahoma, I mean, look, the offense, you got talent on that side of the ball. You just the O-line's got to do a better job, like you said.
Yeah. Number 13, the Auburn Tigers, who've been stuck here for a while. By the way, back to South Carolina before I leave this. What do we think the chances are Shane Beamer is at South Carolina next year with Virginia Tech open? I kind of discounted that earlier. Heard some thoughts. There's been talk that will be open. My last couple of weeks been a little hectic, so I've not kept on top of it. I just assumed that had kind of passed and gone. But what's the scuttlebutt of that on late?
Well, I think as long as he gets bowl eligible, I don't think he's going to be fired.
No, I don't think he's getting fired either way. Yeah. I'm just wondering, does he do the thing where, okay, we had a disappointing season, get out.
Tech.
Right. Start the clock over.
Well, it's something to monitor. I mean, obviously his dad's a legend at Vatech, and I'm sure they'd be glad to have him. But I don't think he's looking to make that move unless he's, seeing or sensing that things are, I'm going to be on a boiling hot seat next year. But I don't think he wants to make that move. We'll see.
Yeah, Sam sums it up really well. If he's smart, he jumps ship like Buzz Williams did. Get out of Dodge while it's good. I mean, hey, you're only as good as your last couple of weeks. Some of these jobs, James Franklin, for all the jokes against top 10 teams and all that, and his record was abysmal. James Franklin won a lot of games because they showed up every week and took care of business until they did in the last 2 weeks. And he went from, a shot to beat Oregon in overtime, go right into the top 5 to just free fall, losing those 2 games. And it's kind of the same thing. I don't think that the pressure is that much at South Carolina. I don't think it's close. Beamer hasn't been around as much, but it's kind of the get out before they get you sentiment.
Well, I thought they vastly overachieved in year one just to get to a bowl
Yes.
game. Year two, 8-5, not bad. Year three was a disappointment, but you bounced
Yeah.
back with a 9-win season. The only game if you're a South Carolina fan that you've lost this year that you're not happy about is probably the Vandy at home,
Yeah.
especially the way it happened. But remember, Sellers got hurt early in that game. I mean, there's no shame in losing at Mizzou. That was a close game the whole way. And, you're not going to win at LSU very often. I mean, they haven't won at LSU in what,
Who
20
does win
plus?
at LSU?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, it's something to monitor. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah.
And that's probably a little harsh. I think that fan base is a little bit more reasonable than a lot of them. And like Shane Beamer, I don't think fans are super disappointed with the job he's done. Did make a change at offensive line coach over the weekend. Anyway, won't keep us there because we got a lot of teams in front to talk about, including this one, Auburn. Hugh Freeze the next guy, but this is all coaching hot seat talk so far. Is Hugh Freeze the next one though?
Him or Napier. And Auburn has Missouri at home this week. Tough game for both teams. But I mean, Auburn, you just dominate a football game the way you did for 30, or for 29 of 30 minutes, and then to just self-destruct. It's tough. Where that team's psyche is right now, I have no idea. I don't think Jackson Arnold's got a lot of confidence right now, and I don't think his teammates have much confidence in him.
But by the way, I think people have started to figure this out in bits and pieces. And I saw this as I replayed it. They did not get hosed on that goal line call. In fact, Georgia's the team got hosed on that. Georgia should have had a touchdown. Right. CJ Allen had knocked the ball loose before the outside defender. I don't remember if that's Wilson or who it was. So, like, the ball was coming loose before he got to the goal line. I don't know why they blew that dead.
Right.
Because Georgia has a touchdown 99 yards the other way unless someone pulls a hamstring on the return. So, yeah, I mean, now the timeout thing, that was ridiculous. And Auburn's had a lot going against it, but that one, I think we can now here's where the league could have helped itself. Like, if you come on and that's what you saw, which, like, when you slowed it down, you could see another defender. There were two defenders that got a hand on the ball. If you slow it down and watch it from there, and like, if that's what the crew saw, imagine the headaches that crew in the league could have saved by just going ACC style, saying, hey, look, here's what we saw in replay. Here's why the call is what it is, and you move on. And then maybe people watch it, say, okay, they're right. The ball did get knocked loose, and it's a totally different narrative about the SEC and officiating on Saturday night than it was, which completely overshadowed a very interesting game, by the way.
And ACC is getting rave reviews for this, and so I don't understand why the SEC wouldn't go to that, like, right away. Yeah. I mean, I love the ACC, how transparent they are with the whole review. It's cool to listen to them go through it and see their process, and I think the SEC and all the leagues should adopt it ASAP.
Yeah. Sam, so let's clear your schedule next Sunday. Auburn and Florida both come open on Sunday before their bye week, which is always a pretty good time to make a change if you're going to do that.
Yeah, and there might be a sense at Florida, don't let Napier go beat Georgia and, earn some goodwill. Like, but I mean, there's also, all right, who's going to call the plays? Who's going to be the interim coach? I mean, I think the staff is garbage. I mean, who's going to be the interim coach? What a mess.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got at 12, Mississippi State, which had a bye week to get ready for a really, really brutally tough schedule ahead.
Yeah, but a very winnable game in the Swamp. For the Bulldogs, you're in an ideal situational scenario. Florida coming off a late night road game on the road, and you are chilling in the AC, taking notes and resting up. And now you get a chance to go down to the Swamp and Mississippi State 4-2 record, feeling good. If they get a win at Florida, they are 5-2 and loving life with Texas coming to town and have already exceeded expectations and getting close to getting bowl eligible. So, Mississippi State's got to be fired up for this week.
State did its work on the front end
Mm-hmm.
in terms of just, you knew that's what had to happen for State to get bowl eligible. But yeah, I mean, the schedule, they're probably going to be underdogs in every game ahead other than maybe Arkansas.
Right. Yep.
And I think Arkansas would be favored right now. I don't remember where's that game.
It's in Arkansas. I would probably make Arkansas about a 2-point favorite.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So maybe more than that in favor.
Yeah, maybe
especially
maybe
if Petrino's got him playing well like he does at the moment. Number 11, Florida Gators. Just cannot get it together with any level of consistency. Good news is the Texas win looks a little better now. Bad news is you got, I'm not going to say dominated at A&M, but you lost that one by 17 points in a year where these games tend to be close.
Yep, and, it is more of the same thing, abysmal play calling, atrocious clock management, the end of the first half, just the same old things, man. This guy cannot. He should not be
biting his tongue.
He should not be the captain of this great big old battleship we call Gator football.
Their bye week is coming up after this weekend, right?
Correct.
By the way, Auburn's Auburn's is also coming up. No, Auburn's next bye week is not until after the Vanderbilt game, November 8th. So they're not simultaneous.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Number 10, Texas. Oh man, Texas to me, honestly, Brian, may be the hardest team for me to project going forward. Yeah. I think that obviously the opportunity is still there to get to the SEC title game because you've only got one loss in the league. On the other hand, I mean, I'm not going to say Oklahoma is not a win of consequence, but that is an offense that had kind of some hidden struggles even with Jackson Arnold because of the offensive line and the inability to generate a run game. And then you play a guy with pins in his hand, who just did not look the same. On the other hand, the defense has been consistently good all year, other than the Florida game. Now, some of that is a schedule. I get it. But I do not know what to make of Texas going forward. The analytical models still love them, have them as a top 10 team. I don't think in any way, shape, or form Texas is a top 10 team, but there is a path here with the schedule ahead.
Yep, going to be favored in the next 3. And then you have 2 weeks to prepare for Georgia when Georgia is coming off of Florida and at Mississippi State. Everything is still on the table for Texas. They can make the SEC championship game. They can make the CFP, but they have zero room for error. No more mulligans.
What did you make of Arch Manning's performance?
I did not watch enough to have a good read. We got done, and I went somewhere where it was not the main game. I was watching. I had my more investments on Tennessee and Arkansas, and I didn't. I mean, I looked at the stats, watched the highlights. Looked like he played better, but still plenty of room for improvement.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I watched a lot of it. Like, it's not like he was out there making eye-popping plays, but he was making the plays they needed to make, and he just needed to not make mistakes.
Right.
Which is kind of the way it went down, and you're like, okay, that's hardly a ringing endorsement of Arch Manning and the Texas offense. But on the other hand, it is a situation where with that defense, all they need for him maybe is to be good enough. And that's where I am. Like, we're in a league where you're getting outstanding quarterback play from some teams, and that's a separator, right? But the dynamic of that team, I think, too, puts a really good season for them still into play if he just does what he did.
Yeah, when Oklahoma is struggling offensively the way they were, it was just don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Don't turn the ball over. Had a clean game. Nothing super impressive, but I mean, 21 to 27, 166 yards is not much, but 1 touchdown, no interception, and he had 34 rushing yards on 4 attempts. So he just managed the game, and they got into victory lane, and that's what they needed.
All right, we're almost at the halfway point. Before we go further, just a reminder, we are brought to you by our friends at Yearly Company. And boy, if you need to get a head start on your Christmas shopping, and we all know we hate shopping for wives and girlfriends and all that stuff. So Yearly Company is where we can help you out here. Go to these guys. They're a Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition and designed for meaning. Each piece is handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold and natural gemstones, made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Because every Yearly Company bangle is custom sized, knowing your size is the most important first step before ordering. That is where their sizing kit comes in. It is the perfect place to start, especially for husbands who want to have sizes ready now. So shopping closer to the holidays is effortless. Code SE16KIT gets you a free sizing kit at yearlycompany.com. Anyway, go ahead and get your head start on your Christmas shopping and help out those who help the show. Speaking of which, we are also brought to you by our friends at ROKFORM, which makes the world's strongest magnetic phone case. I have dropped my phone inside a ROKFORM case many times. It's like nothing ever happened. It offers you extreme protection, super strong magnets, ROKLOK secure mounting. I've got their dash mount or their vent mount on my car for my phone. It is wonderful. Also, this is the busiest time of the year with the new iPhone release. SEC25 gets you 25% off at rockform.com, ROKFORM. Again, help out those who help the show. Also brought to you by HOVI Dry Goods. My favorite NFL team stinks, but you know what? They make great hats of my favorite NFL team. I've got 2 of them now, and these are now my go-to Titans hats. I have several, but these are the best ones I've got. They are your new favorite hat. Look no further than HOVI hats for high-quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. Bad beat. Get you 15% off your entire order at HOVI. That is HOVI, drygoods.com. All right, number 9. This team tumbled several spots. Oklahoma was in the running for number 1 in the power rankings not too long ago. Took its first loss. I think now there's some real concerns about Oklahoma. The offensive parts that did not involve John Mateer have not gotten better. John Mateer himself has gotten worse because of the injury. Just threw some horrible balls trying to make plays. And now they have just a meat grinder to end all meat grinders of schedules going forward.
Yep, bounce back spot at South Carolina. Then it's a murderer's row down the stretch. Ole Miss at home at Tennessee. Yeah. 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama, though. And then close at home, back-to-back, Mizzou and LSU.
Yeah. I think they're in trouble. Now, look, hey, the defense continues to be just outstanding. And like Texas, that gives you a shot. I mean, all Mateer's got it. Mateer has shown he can be spectacular. So yeah. That's probably a more pessimistic take than I meant to come across. But they were not as efficient offensively, maybe on a per-play basis, even with him, I think, as people perceive. Now, look, their schedule has been front-loaded with teams that are pretty good on defense and maybe not that good on offense. I think their stats maybe got a little skewed.
Right.
On the other hand, Mateer is an elite talent, and, like, if he's 100% healthy, which, hey, another week or two, maybe he's there, maybe it's a different conversation, but I came away with some concerns about Oklahoma leaving the weekend.
Yeah, but let's remember, with this schedule, they can go 9-3 and make the playoff, where you can't say that for a lot of teams. I think you can definitely say it for Oklahoma because, look, I mean, that would mean that they're going to win at least 4 of these next 6. And so who's the worst? I mean, South Carolina's the worst of these 6. So if you're going to win 3 out of Ole Miss, at Tennessee, Bama, Mizzou, and LSU, those are going to be 3 very high-quality wins. And we'll see how Michigan, doesn't really help Oklahoma, but it doesn't matter. If Oklahoma wins 9, they're going to be in.
Not that you could do this, but it almost, if I were them, would like to trade that Carolina game and make it home, because that one's tougher on the road, and I think they're going to be hard pressed to score enough points. I think they match up well with Carolina, but that one in Columbia, and the defense is playing pretty well for the Gamecocks too. So even that one that is on paper the easiest game on the schedule. Even that one is not going to be easy.
No. But the Oklahoma pass rush against South Carolina's O-line, you got to like your chances in that matchup. Now, certainly Sellers has got that elusiveness, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right, number 8, Vanderbilt, which, by the way, leads the conference in yards per play and has, I don't know, the biggest game in probably modern Vanderbilt history coming up at home with LSU.
And they've had 2 weeks to prepare, whereas LSU's coming off a hard-fought game. So a good situation for Vandy. And everything's still on the table for the Commodores as well.
Yeah, defense is leaked a little bit the last couple of weeks against Alabama and Utah State. I mean, not the last 2 games is a better way to phrase it. That's got to get fixed. Now, I think that's where the bye week helps them get a little healthier and maybe allows Clark Lee and Steve Gregory to fix some stuff on that side of the ball. But that game with LSU in Nashville is going to be, I think, just a really, really good game.
Obviously, we didn't have an injury report for Vandy during its open date. How did they come out health-wise from the Alabama game?
I think they're okay. I think the things to watch, Colby Taylor, one of their starting corners, it may have been cramps. I'm not sure. We'll get an injury report probably tomorrow. And then Issa Wataho is maybe their most talented D lineman, interior D lineman, who's barely played all year. It'll be interesting to see if he's out, because I think he's a difference maker if they can get him back.
He was out against Bama or played sparingly?
I think he was out. I think he's been out most of their games.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. I probably the biggest discrepancy that we had in the power rankings between what I had and we had as a group, and there's 5 of us who vote, was this. I think Missouri, to me, I had Missouri at 4. And I'm consistently higher on Missouri than everybody else. Look, I know that it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes game flow is different, but like they average 1.5 yards more per play than at Alabama. Now they made mistakes. I get it. Like sometimes the stats can be misleading, but I continue to look at them. They played defensively. They played really well.
Yeah.
Alabama went ball control, but did not get a lot of big plays.
Mm-hmm.
I still think this is a super talented team. And look, I don't think Missouri played its best game. There were some self-inflicted wounds there with penalties, the 2 on Zion Young early. But they did that and still managed to lose to 3 points to maybe the hottest team in the country.
Yeah, and if you get just one out of those 3 fourth down situations, if you get one of those 3 stops, who knows?
Yeah. But that's kind of what Alabama does to you. They make it darn near impossible to beat you. I've got some thoughts on that in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, the stats from Missouri, I think they've still got the biggest yards per play differential in the league. Yeah, it's 2.7. They're getting 6.7 per snap, allowing 4 flat. That's something I look at a lot. Its schedule's not been what most of their SEC counterparts have been, but it's also not been just dreadful either, especially after playing Alabama.
This is their first road game of the year.
Yeah. That's another thing that some of these teams have not played much on the road yet.
I mean, how crazy is that? They have played every single game at home, and they only have 1 home game. Oh, I'm sorry, 2. And they still have 2 home games left.
Yeah, they do. And the first road game you get, I don't know that you could be catching Auburn at a better time than Missouri is catching it on Saturday.
Is that a noon Eastern kick? Because that's perfect for Mizzou if it is.
I haven't looked at it yet.
I'm looking up that. Go ahead, though.
Yeah. Okay. What are we on? Number 6, Tennessee. When do the Vols get healthy on defense? I think that's my concern. I know there's been a lot of howling over Josh Heupel's play calling the last couple of weeks. It's been weird as they've gotten conservative late in games. With the lead, or the Mississippi State game where they had a chance to get a touchdown and not go to overtime and didn't do it. I tend to give Josh Heupel a lot of slack. I don't know if that means he was right on those things. But look, I think my concern with Tennessee right now is just defense. Now, the numbers get inflated because they play such a fast game, but they're giving up now about 30 points a game.
Yeah, and this was a team last year that gave up only 16.1 points per game and brought back 8 starters. Now, Gibson was one of those starters, season-ending injury, and they're still hoping McCoy is going to get back. And I don't know what the latest on that is, but their defense has been one of the more disappointing units in the whole league, I think.
Yeah. I mean, fair? per play, they're not allowing – the numbers aren't awful, but I think the way teams have thrown on them the last couple of weeks, Georgia, Arkansas, and look, Arkansas is a really good passing offense, so maybe that's not the place to judge, but they're it's a lot leakier than it was a year ago. I think that the thought coming into the season was, okay, they lost James Pierce Jr. As a first rounder, but what made their defensive line great last year, maybe more than Pierce, was the depth, much of which they've had back. Now, what they are doing really well is getting turnovers at key times. They won the turnover battle Saturday. They've had a couple of defensive scores, I think, against Mississippi State, have done that against other teams. So if you're going to knock the defense for allowing yards and points, you got to say, hey, look, they're putting some numbers on the scoreboard themselves with game-changing turnover plays. But and look, you get McCoy back, if that happens in November, like getting a number one corner back in a really good year for SEC receivers, that's a little bit of a game changer. So, like, even with a judgment and a concern about their defense, like, you can say, well, these are the things that happen. But as it stands right now, and Sam says McCoy's not coming back, so we'll see. He says he'd be shocked. As of now, when I watched him play against good offenses, it just feels like a lot of these games ahead are going to be white knucklers because they're hard to stop, but their defense is also not getting stops when it matters.
Well, think about how much criticism Arkansas's defense has received this year. Arkansas last in the SEC in scoring D, giving up 30.7 per game. Tennessee only gives up 1.4 points fewer at 29.3.
Yeah.
That's a disappointing defense.
And Sam's right. Colton Hood's been really good too. I think he is leading the league in, something. Maybe passes defended. But that's the thing. They have a right timing element about their defense. Feels like they get stops a lot of times. Well, they didn't against Georgia, but they do make some big plays that offset some of that.
You were right.
And Brian says 26 sacks. That's always part of what they do too.
And Colton Hood is tied with Julian Neal for passes defended. Most in the SEC was 7.
Yeah. And Aaron Carter gets a shout out too. Who I think he's leading the league in tackles. So.
And 26 sacks leading the SEC.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we get to number 5. And I think LSU rocketed up a couple of spots just by teams ahead of it having bye weeks or losing. I don't know that I feel any different about LSU leaving week 7 or whatever this was than I did week 3. I feel like every week with these guys, it is the same ball game. Their defense allows 10 to 13 points. Their offense scores 20, and they win a close one.
And we were hoping or speculating that the open date had probably done Nussmeier some good with the abdominal injury, and he just got beat up bad the other night. I think he comes out of that game way more banged up than he went into it. So I don't think we saw the healthy Nussmeier, and maybe he got a lot less healthy.
Yeah, I think there were 2 different times in that game where it looked like he got hit in the leg and came up limping. Mm-hmm. So now you've got injuries in different spots. Now, look, I think the bright spot for them, That was on a per play basis the best the offense had been all year. If you throw out the Sela game, which is FCS, they gained 420 yards. They threw the ball pretty well. They ran the ball better than they'd run it all year against the Carolina defense. That's pretty good. So I think that's one thing. If you are LSU, and I'll reread the stat sheet to make sure this was right, but like running the ball had been an issue for them. Which when you play good defense and you're having trouble throwing the ball, you better do that. So that may be your bright spot for LSU coming out of the weekend.
Yeah, and Caden Durham's healthy now and had his best game of the season. And, he had a fantastic freshman year. I thought he was going to be spectacular this year, and just hasn't really happened yet. But he goes for 70 yards on 15 carries. Actually, he did have 93 against Florida, so not his best game of the year. But it was good to see him back and looking good.
Yeah, and Juwan Johnson had 5 for 66, and not a name we've talked about a lot. Harlan Berry is kind of their 3 right now. He's a very talented freshman. So, like, if you're LSU, I think the thing is you lost those 2 first-round tackles. You knew it was going to be a little bit of time to get your line together. Was that a sign that maybe LSU's getting better offensively? I don't know. We'll find out next week. Now, that's going to be interesting. We'll preview that because that is Brian Kelly going against his old defensive coordinator and Clark Lee at Vandy. So I don't know who gets the advantage on that one. I don't know who knows the other guy better, but that's going to be fascinating.
Yep. Yeah, I'm fired up for that one.
Okay, let's get to number 4, Georgia, which just got dominated for the first 29 minutes of that game. Again, if you didn't catch us earlier, that was not a bad call on the fumble. In fact, it was bad. Georgia should have had 6 going the other way.
Right.
The ball was coming out. That was a correct call. From that point on, the script fit, because I think at that point, before that play, total offense was somewhere in the neighborhood of 240 to 30 in Auburn's favor, and it just about went that direction in reverse from that play on.
Yeah, it was a super frustrating moment for Auburn, but then when you got your leader throwing his headset, and his reactions to these replay have not been good. The body language has not been good on the sideline, and I know it's frustrating. Man, was it frustrating. But you knew once they got a couple first downs on that drive, trailing 10-zip, you're like, this game has completely flipped. And I was telling my buddy, I was like, Auburn's not winning this game. Auburn is not winning this game.
Do we need to put Gunnar Stockton in the most underrated player of the league conversation?
One of them. And Kurt, these guys fight hard. They're not nearly as good as they have been in the past, but they've got everything in front of them. This can still be potentially be a championship team. And Stockton, he's made plays when he's needed to, with the exception of the Bama game.
They're going to be favored. They're going to be favored in every remaining game. Where's the Texas game? Okay, that's in Athens. I think they may be favored in every remaining game.
They're undoubtedly going to be favored in every remaining game. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to number 3. We get to Oklahoma. No, we don't get to. That's a typo. Who we got at 3?
Ole Miss, probably.
Ole Miss is who I meant. Wrong O school. All right. Ole Miss is 3. Had a disappointing weekend with Washington State, but did come out ahead. I don't know what you unpack and take away from that game.
You just hope it was a look ahead, and still undefeated, and now you got a monster game, or you got a lot of monster games ahead of you, but one at a time at Georgia. Georgia in major revenge mode. Should be a doozy between the hedges.
Yeah. Speaking of favored in the remaining games,
I would say they'll be favored in all of them except for at Georgia and potentially Oklahoma. We'll see how Oklahoma plays this week.
Yeah, I mean, a week is like an eternity with Mateer's health and Ole Miss's quarterback situation. So, But that right now is pretty close to a toss-up, I think.
Yeah, right now I would say, maybe a pick 'em. But again, we'll see how both teams play this week, come out injury-wise, etc.
Yeah. All right, number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide, which dropped from 1 with a really good win at Missouri. And I think what happened at 1 was more about another team. You probably figured out who that's going to be right now. Alabama, though, Brian, this is what makes them so tough to beat. They are plus 10 in turnover margin, 12-2, and I think they are the least penalized team in the league now. They've had fewer than 100 yards of penalties total combined in the last 3 weeks. And when you just hold on to the ball, now getting Jam Miller hurt could be a game changer for them. I question when he came back, would that have the impact that a lot of people thought it would? It did. They were a different offense with Jam Miller on the field. So you lose him for any amount of time, which I'm going to guess they are. Don't know it yet. We will be interested to see what the injury report says for the Tennessee game. But Alabama's ability just to hold the ball and not make mistakes and let the other guys make mistakes right now is making them just about impossible to beat at the moment.
Ryan Grubb has been terrific. OC, I mean, I speculated, that the optimism and hope in the offseason for Bama was that Ryan Grubb's presence was going to be that, that missing ingredient they didn't have last year. That has proven out to be true, barring a rash of injuries galore that would have to include Ty Simpson. Bama will be favored every game on the rest of the regular season slate.
Yeah, Brett says grade 1 concussion for Jam Miller. I'm going to guess that's going to be, as Sam said, hard to clear protocol. But Tennessee may have a key guy out too. We'll see that injury report on running back. So a lot of this was, if you missed our shows this week, and you had a lot of top shelf running back injuries this week. At least 4 that I can think of.
What's the Tennessee Bishop? Did he get hurt?
Yeah, Deshaun Bishop got knocked out of that game late. And I do not know. Sam will probably know his status. But, yeah, he didn't play the last couple of drives. No, look, Tennessee, they always go 3 deep with quality running backs. But Bishop looked like their best.
Yes.
Like he was a game changer on Saturday.
Yep.
So, all right, getting to number 1, if you've kept along with us, that is Texas A&M. Don't know why this is not showing up on the screen. Here we go. Texas A&M. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Aggies, you're number 1. The most consistent team in the league. I watch them week to week. They just keep getting better. Now, I think your biggest concern is, I'm not going to say like the offense is over-reliant on big plays, because when you've got the receivers in Craver and Concepcion that they have, and Marcel Reed's improved ability to get them the ball, that's just part of their identity. I think their kryptonite could be getting in one of these games where they've got to out first down an Alabama-type team. Although they've had 24 first downs at Notre Dame, so maybe not. But point I'm making here, like if you're struggling, if you're picking a weakness with Texas A&M, that's probably where you're going to go. That they're very like Florida-like explosive in pass plays, like the Gators were a year ago, and or at times this year when they're good.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that's flukish because who they've got, but I think the rush defense has been the part that we've been watching, and they're not great against it, right? They're not great, but they have not allowed, since the opening week, 4.5 yards with sacks taken out rushing to an opponent yet. And when that includes Notre Dame, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, teams that can run the ball a bit from the tailback position, I think that's a big win because, again, it feels like they've got so many boxes covered elsewhere.
You got 3 road games in a row now. Now you do get an open date before the third one, and 4 of the last 6 are on the road. So that's going to be very, challenging, but they can probably lose 2 and still make the CFP. They're probably going to be a little bit of an underdog at LSU, but not much. A&M Mizzou. Let's see what Mizzou does the next 2 weeks before. I would probably make that about a. Yeah, I'd probably make Missouri a 1 or 1.5 point favorite right now at home. And then at Texas, I would make Texas a little bit of a favorite. So they may have 3 underdog spots, possibly. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But
what a weird year for scheduling in the league, by the way.
right.
You've got Missouri has not left home. A&M's had 1 road game. Tennessee's had 1 road game. Did have a neutral site game.
Florida's already played at night at LSU, Miami, and A&M.
And I meant to bring this. I think right now is Georgia the only SEC team with 2 road wins within the league. I think that's right.
Well, they certainly have that. Alabama won at Mizzou and at Georgia.
Yeah, because Ole Miss's only road game in the league so far was at Kentucky.
But you heard me. Alabama's got 2 road wins also.
Oh, okay. Missouri and
Missouri and Georgia. I'm sorry.
And Georgia. Okay, yeah. So not a lot of teams
right
have done that. So I mean, that schedule, A&M's schedule with what 4 of their last 5 conference games on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you reach a point with scheduling logistics that like somebody's going to draw the short end of the straw because you got conference games in there too. But that's just not ideal. But hey, it also allows you to get confidence. I think I'd almost rather have it that way. Like if you feel like you're a contender and you got some things to sort out.
Yeah.
Get like the anti-Notre Dame, right? Notre Dame may end up being a playoff caliber team. But between going to Miami to open the season and playing A&M is your first couple of games, like there's no margin for error. Like if you flip your schedule a little bit, get those teams later in the year, maybe it flips your way. But it just a very interesting dynamic for their season.
Yeah. Did you see, not to change the subject, but did you see the stat, the Affleck question during the Gator game of they had played a top 10 team. Now LSU's out of the top 10 now, but they were a top 10 team. Florida's played 4 top 10 teams in a row. Do you know when the last time that happened in college football history?
Let me think. Florida last year?
No. I was thinking Arkansas at some point in the SEC West days, but 1968 is the last time a team played 4 top 10 teams in a row.
And that was who?
Northwestern.
Oh, interesting. You could have given me 1,000 guesses. Get a little put some A&M hasn't played a tough team yet. I disagree with that. I think their resume is pretty good.
Well, who said that? Who said they didn't play?
I won't call people out. It's in the chat. You can find it for yourself. But they haven't played.
They played at Notre Dame.
Well, and even UTSA and Utah State are not pushovers on par with some of what the league has played. I mean, that's a weird place to go in the weeds about. But you play at Notre Dame, you play an Auburn team that is perpetually one play away from beating anybody, but just can't.
Yeah, right.
Mississippi State's good. Florida on the wrong night, you catch them, they're a problem. But again, won that in commanding fashion. I just think the consistency for these guys, other than maybe the second half of the Utah State game, I just feel like they've been in control. I mean, even then they were in control. They had a big lead and maybe, let their foot off the gas. But watching them week in and week out, the consistency with which they play and do everything reasonably well, I just think they are. I don't know if there's a team in the league like them for that reason.
The win at Notre Dame is going to end up being one of the top 5 wins in the country. Notre Dame is going to win out. They're going to go to the playoff. Notre Dame's in the top 10 of my power rankings, and they'll be back in the top 10 nationally come early November, if not sooner. So that win at Notre Dame is going to be outstanding for them.
You think Notre Dame runs the table and gets playoff at 10-2?
100%.
Really?
Well, let's see.
Okay, well, here's where the
schedule
schedule gives them a couple of outs.
Well, it helps that USC beat the brakes off Michigan.
Right. That's number one. Number two, I would say Navy is unbeaten.
Yeah.
Now, they'll probably pulverize Navy, but that's one of the things you can hold up at the end of the season and say, hey, we beat a team that went 10-2 or 11-1 or whatever it is. Pitt, on a given day can show up, as Florida State found out.
Yeah, it helps that Pitt won that game. And remember, Pitt was without their All-American running back for a couple of weeks, Desmond Reed. And I think they lost one of those games without him, I think. Let me
there might be more cover. I think I kind of wrote them off after A&M beat them, but there might be a little bit more cover for them to make it than I would have thought. But now whether that's going to be fair, I don't know. A lot of ball to be played. I think that's when you're comparing your big wins to other people's, and I think you're going to have a lot of 9-3 SEC teams that may have the trump card on that. But hey, it's the whole. Do we judge you by your resume or how good we think you are, or what combination of that?
But I mean, you're 10-2, and Miami and A&M are still undefeated. You lost those games by 4 combined points.
Right.
You go into SEC country and you smash Arkansas like nobody else in the SEC has smashed them. So we'll see. I feel pretty good. I mean, obviously it depends on how things shake out everywhere else, but I'm pretty sure Notre Dame will get in at 10-2.
Yeah, you may be right. Well, a lot of football to go.
Sure.
A lot of it's going to just depend on teams beating each other up. Did you see the tweet that? Oh gosh, about the average margin of victory in SEC on SEC games being like 1/10 of a point less than NFL games this year. Somebody at ESPN sent it out.
Wow.
It's 10.6 versus 10.7, which is kind of what we've been saying. This is becoming week in and week out more like the NFL. And frankly, I think that might shrink because I feel like this is becoming a sneakily good defensive league. And I feel like a lot of your better good on good, great on great matchups are still to come.
And to your point with that stat, I heard Sal Palantonio say last week on a podcast that there had been more one possession games in the NFL this year and last year compared to he gave some historical context to it. Basically, this is the most one possession football games in the NFL that we've seen in many moons the last 2 years. So
well, what happens if you take the Titans out of that? It gets even better.
Yeah, there you go. Take the Falcons 30-0 loss to Carolina out as well.
I used to enjoy the NFL, but they have just when your team is just awful,
right?
And there doesn't seem to be a lot of hope.
Do you not do fantasy?
That's how No, I quit fantasy about 5 years ago. I have time for and I used to be avid about it.
Right.
But the problem is when I get into something, I tend to really get into it. Now I take it. I'm playing this year because my 11-year-old son had a league and somebody dropped out and he had an auto draft in 15 minutes. Like we need somebody. So I did a team, I mostly just took a lot of what was recommended on the board. And then usually about 5 minutes before kickoff, I check my lineup, sub my guys in, and find out what I did a week ago. So I don't know that you really call that playing, but at one point I was really, but the problem I figured out is it was taking too much of my time. I'm like, I cannot get my stuff done like I need to do. And then do that too. So it's kind of a save yourself from yourself thing.
Right.
But, anyway. Yeah. Okay. Predictions coming up. We'll start recording those momentarily. Probably going to do some playoff stuff tomorrow. Got to do a little bit more prep on that. And Mondays are a time crunch for me, but I got some really interesting stuff if I can get it done between now and then. That'll kind of shape your view of the playoff. We'll get to that. Again, we will get to predictions here. We'll get those out within a couple hours. And weekends, as always, reactions several times during the day. Subscribe if you have not done that already. That is free. If you enable your notifications, then you know when we're getting videos out. And at all of your platforms, audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, so give us a nice rating if you don't mind, and some nice comments. That helps us get found there. All right. For Brian Edwards, I'm your host, Chris Lee. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching. This is Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.